The biggest update Minecraft had ever planned, and one of the most memorable ones, failed spectacularly. And the strangest part, it wasn't because it was bad. Not at all. We all loved that update. Every reveal, every promise, every moment. But somehow, despite all that love, it still collapsed right before our eyes. It wasn't a technical failure. It wasn't a bug, or a glitch, or a broken mechanic. It was something deeper, something human, a promise that grew far too big until it crushed itself. And it all began with one of Mojang's most breathtaking moments ever, a presentation that looked more like a celebration of imagination than a simple update reveal. They walked on stage like visionaries, ready to redefine what Minecraft could be. And then they dropped everything. 2 new biomes, new creatures, the Warden, ancient cities, revamped mountains, an avalanche of content so massive it left the entire community speechless. But for every ounce of excitement that presentation created, it also planted a silent seed of doubt. The hype was electric. It felt like lightning pulsing through the community. You could almost feel the energy, that collective gasp of, "This changes everything." But somewhere, beneath all that excitement, a quiet question began to whisper. Could this be too good to be true? To truly understand how that question became a prophecy, we have to go back to a time when Mojang could do no wrong. Back when every update wasn't just new content, it was an event. At that time, Mojang wasn't just respected, they were trusted completely. They weren't a company. They were world builders, dream makers. Every update they released felt like a personal gift from someone who actually cared. Each new addition didn't just match the last one, it surpassed it. The Nether update was no exception. In fact, it was their crown jewel. It wasn't just an expansion, it was a love letter to creativity itself. But what made it unforgettable wasn't just what it added, it was how it was delivered. They didn't throw everything at us at once. They let it drip slowly. A new biome here, a mysterious structure there, and with every small reveal, our imagination exploded. We built entire worlds in our heads from just a few crumbs. That was their magic. Keep us hungry. Keep us dreaming. Feed us just enough to believe there was always more waiting just beyond the fog. But then came the moment that broke the spell. When Caves and Cliffs was announced, Mojang flipped the formula. They must have thought, if giving them a little created this much hype, giving them everything will make history. And they did give us everything. But the thing about giving everything is that it leaves nothing left to hold back, nothing left to surprise, nothing left to protect you when things start to fall apart. The problem wasn't the hype itself, it was the weight of it. A backpack so full of expectations that the moment they hit a roadblock, it all came crashing down. Then came the first red flag, a short emotionless announcement. The update would be split in 2. Archaeology would be delayed. Even then, the community stayed calm. Take your time, they said. Quality over speed, because Mojang's reputation was still bulletproof. But reputations, like promises, only stay strong until they're tested. And the second blow, that was the test. It wasn't just another delay. It was a painful realization that maybe Mojang hadn't learned from its mistakes. At the next Minecraft Live, almost casually, they dropped the bomb. The Warden and the Deep Dark wouldn't be coming in the first part. The reaction wasn't just disappointment, it was heartbreak. The community didn't just sigh, it ached. But more than sadness, what people felt was something new: betrayal. The rulebook that made the Nether update a masterpiece had been tossed aside. They had promised us the stars, knowing they couldn't take us there. And from that moment, the unshakable trust that once defined Mojang began to crack. What followed was a slow-motion collapse, a domino effect of broken expectations. First came the Fireflies, canceled for an ecological reason no one really bought. Then the Birch Forest, teased, and then abandoned without a word. Each disappointment cut a little deeper, and then came the sentence that ended an era. Concept art is not a promise. That single line hit harder than any delay ever could. It was like Mojang themselves were saying, "Don't believe in what we show you." But the truth is, belief was the only thing holding us together. That was the final straw. Years of patience, years of understanding, all came crashing down at once. The community snapped, and the nightmare didn't stop there. That update, the one meant to change everything, became a shadow, a ghost that haunted every future release. Nothing felt new anymore. Every update felt like it came with invisible baggage. But the worst part wasn't what Mojang did. It was what we started to feel. Emptiness. Every new mob, every new block whispered the same thing. I'm a leftover from a promise that was never kept. The game that once looked forward was now haunted by its past. Each new update wasn't an adventure, it was an apology. Players stopped getting excited. Each announcement was met with half-hearted smiles. Oh, that thing. Yeah, they promised it years ago. But when excitement dies, so does magic. Mojang was trapped, forced to chase ghosts of promises no one cared about anymore. The hype was gone, replaced by cynicism, and slowly, painfully, the community began to fade away. Minecraft had lost its heartbeat. The world felt emptier, the silence heavier. But in that silence, something began to stir. It started small. A spark. The combat snapshots, a whisper of something new. Not big, but real. That was Mojang's first step toward redemption. And then came copper, a small, overlooked mineral suddenly given purpose. The breeze. The mace. Tiny steps toward something bigger. But this time, they weren't promising the world. They were building it again, piece by piece. It marked the beginning of a new era, one where Mojang stopped talking about how great updates could be and started proving it through what they were, because the new updates weren't about scale, they were about substance, and that's what made them feel alive again. Take copper, for example. For years, it was useless, a shiny decoration with no reason to exist. Now, it's vital. It connects systems, enhances gameplay, makes exploration matter again. But more importantly, it shows Mojang finally understands. Less can be more. Yes, the shadow of caves and cliffs still lingers. Archaeology never became what it was promised to be, not even close. And honestly, most players don't use it. But for the first time in years, that doesn't seem to matter, because Mojang is finally free from its ghosts. They're creating again, not out of guilt, but out of passion. The Warden no longer feels like a scar. The community is growing again, not because of trends, not because of hype, but because people want to play. Naturally. And that's something we hadn't seen in a long time. The game feels alive again, the updates feel grounded, and the promises smaller, but real. After everything, the delays, the broken trust, the silence, we've regained something priceless. Anticipation. That tiny flicker of excitement when you wonder what's next. That spark before a new update drops. That feeling of wonder. But maybe that's the point. Maybe all of this, the fall, the frustration, the years of disappointment, was necessary to remind us why we cared in the first place. Because every ending, no matter how painful, hides a new beginning. And this new beginning is shining in copper. Minecraft has found its light again, and this time it's not just glowing, it's forging something new. And speaking of new beginnings, there's one more story waiting. Click the next video. I'll be waiting there.